Carl's been on holiday again, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because, Carl, you don't do anything.
And you have weekends off. You take at least 5 or 6 weeks holiday a year, even though you haven't got a job now. You're meant to be doing this, and yet you still go on
your
holiday.
whole life's a holiday, basically.
Yeah, why do you need a holiday? You potter around. Your big day last week was going to the cobblers. So why do you need a break so much this week?
It's just that, you know, it's good for your brain and that, isn't it? It opens it up a bit.
You are not evidence for that.
Where did you go?
Gran Canaria.
For a week?
Yeah.
Just sitting around?
Well, there isn't much else to do at Gran Canaria. I mean, I don't want to go slagging a place off because every time I seem to talk about somewhere, get into trouble for it.
Right.
But it's just like a big rock. It's
Brilliant.
just volcanic, innit?
And you must have looked like a little barnacle on that.
Have you been there before?
Been near it before to another rock, which was just.
But
it was
what,
the
you
same
had your
sort of
fingers
thing.
burned? Why did you go back?
Because you think, well, they can't have loads of these islands that are the same, like just a big rock with hotels on. They can't get away with it. So you think,
they
well, the
obviously
next
are
one.
getting away with it. But why do you keep going to these places that are rocks? Why don't you investigate first? Ask your travel agent, is this a giant rock?
Because that's what you do, innit? You go and find out yourself. I mean, when Armstrong went to the moon, what was he expecting up there? That's a fact. That's a big rock, and he still went all that way.
I don't know what that point was.
No,
Fair enough.
so what I'm saying is, though...
What do you make of this place? You enjoy it, Gran Canaria? It was just a big rock, but did you...
I bet the moon was better.
Really?
What did you do?
It was just one of them... It was a big hotel, like big, massive places where there's loads of people, and, you know, you go for your dinner.
That describes a hotel.
Yeah.
No,
Sounds like that to me.
You've nailed that.
I've been to a few, that sounds like it.
No, but do you know what I mean, though? There's the nice small ones where it's just enough people, but this is, like, mental. And it was all... It was full of old people, really. I mean, that's probably why it's called Gran Canaria, right? Because it's just
Grannies
old people.
everywhere.
Yeah, right. But what I thought I'd start doing is start a diary.
Okay, why?
Just because I sort of had a bit of time on my hands and that. Just thought, write it down, write stuff down.
And do you hope that this one day will become one of the great literary documents like Samuel Pepys' diary?
I haven't heard of that. Is it any good?
You've never heard of Samuel Pepys' diary?
No,
the most famous diary other than probably Anne Frank's.
I've heard of Anne Frank's and that, and I thought if she's sat in a loft, knocking stuff up, not much going on in her life at that point, yet she was still writing it down.
Yeah, whereas
Thought,
you've
well,
been
I'm
to
on
Gran
holiday.
Canaria, yeah.
I thought, so there is stuff going on that I can chat about. Start a diary.
Sure.
You started a diary.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? Did you keep it up every day?
Yeah, just...
can I read it, please?
Well, a diary is meant to be sort of...
Please, can I read some out on this podcast? Carl...
Some of it, though, is only relevant to me. It's sort of...
this is... Please, give me it. Oh, my God.
I mean, this isn't... I haven't just...
Look how big it is!
It's one of those desk diaries.
It's huge. It's about a foot long. And it's... Oh, that is amazing. Imagine if Anne Franks had been like that. As she got out... Right. Everyone would have heard it clank down on the desk.
Yeah, but my writing's quite big, isn't it?
Oh, look. Give us that.
Do you know about joined up writing? Have you heard about
There's
that?
no point.
Amazing.
Sometimes you can't read it, can you? So it's
Right,
best to...
okay.
Look at ancient times.
Oh my God! It starts on the first day. This is wonderful. Going on holiday to Gran Canaria today. Woke up to the news that Tony Banks had died. There was a piece on the news about how everyone was shocked. Got me thinking about an invention that would be good. Right, a watch that counted down your life. If it says you've got 3 days left, go to the doctors. Told Suzanne about invention. She said she wouldn't buy one. But she said that about the iPod.
How would this device work, this watch? I mean, how would you know when you were about to die? Is that a concern? Again, not for you to worry about, presumably the boffins and
No, all I was thinking is that Tony Banks fella, he died and everyone was shocked about it. But if you had like a little watch on...
But how did it work? You can't just say, wouldn't it be good? How would this work? Yeah, I imagine you in the patent office going, got an idea? They go, oh, certainly, Mr. Pilkington, what's your idea? Watch that counting down your life. Oh, how does that work?
Just wear it, just pop it on your wrist.
No, what do you mean, just pop it on your wrist? How does it work? Just pop it on your wrist. Brilliant. You're an idiot.
Well, it's interesting that he goes on. The flight to Gran Canaria was a bit bumpy. I thought about the clock that counts down your life again, and I wondered if it would know if you were going to die in a disaster. No, he's querying his own design.
He's wondering if it would know. He's invented this.
Now he's not even sure. A fella on the plane was reading Koi Mag. It was a fishing magazine. I glanced over and noticed he was reading the Pond of the Month article. Don't think they could make it into a weekly magazine. Well, to be fair to you, because I remember seeing a guy on the train once reading Carp Monthly, a magazine dedicated entirely to carp, and it had Carp of the Month. And I just thought, once you're like 3 months in, the editor must be stressing. Have we got any more carp? We got a carp that's actually done anything?
I reckon if they used the same one twice, there wouldn't be many complaints.
No one would be noticing.
No, that's the carp they used 2 years ago.
There was a really fat bloke on the plane. He was playing on his PSP. While I waited to go to the toilet, I looked at what game he was playing. It was darts. He's that fat and lazy, you can't even face playing a more active game on a games console. Me and Suzanne got off the coach along with a couple of old people. One of them was in a wheelchair. I don't think it was wise of them to come to a volcanic island with a wheelchair. Everywhere's pretty rough paving and slopey. Guess I'll keep an eye on it as the weeks go on. Day 2 in Gran Canaria.
Brilliant. We're only at day 2.
The hotel's a bit odd. I've never seen as many cross-eyed people in one location.
That's enough, isn't it?
That's amazing.
Well, you may as well let me read on a bit more.
No, this is amazing.
We'll come back to
This
it
is a
later,
brilliant diary. This might be the best diary ever written. Oh.
While sat listening to the Kinks on my iPod, I wondered if everybody thinks in their accent. I know I do. What's this? What are you talking about?
Just that, when I've been sat there lying on the lounger, right, and I was thinking about stuff.
How do you know you think in your accent? Tell me a typical thought.
Because what I mean is, say if I was like, if I saw something, right? Do you know how I say like, oh, that's a bit weird, isn't it?
No, but
that was
I don't
being
have
said.
to. But when you think, I don't think the sentence is like I'm saying it. It's just a thought. The thought appears. It's conceptual and it's already there. It's not like I go, Rick, what? Just looking at that fellow over there, were you? Yeah, I was. Yeah. I was thinking it looks a bit weird. Oh, so was I. I don't think out whole sentences.
Whereas you have Carl, stop listening to the Kinks for a minute. Look over there. More cross-eyed people.
No, well that's
Is that how your mind works?
In a way, yeah. And
Brilliant.
that's when because I
That
thought
explains a lot.
It's great that he has to think of that whole sentences.
because I thought that's weird, isn't it? Right, I didn't think that's weird, isn't it? And I thought I actually think in my accent. And then I thought, does Stephen Hawking, does he, when he's doing his maths and that, is he? I don't know where he's from, so I don't know what his accent would be like.
I think he's from Kent or Cambridge or Oxford. Or
Right,
something like that.
so
So you think he might think in his
voice, in that voice,
his
box
computerised
thing.
voice?
Just wondered.
Had lunch inside today due to shite weather. Sat next to an old fella. Old men's ears and noses carry on growing as they get older. Suzanne noticed his fingers were fat too. Maybe they continue to grow. Suzanne didn't laugh when I said her arse had the same problem. Day 3, cloudy start to the day. Had pie and chips in a cafe. Had a bit of an argument with Suzanne because I thought it was daft that we were paying for food when we were on an all-inclusive holiday. Changed my mind when I saw they sold pie though. The cafe was called Tattoos. The fellow who owned it didn't have any tattoos. But we never saw his wife.
Oh, brilliant.
Had a drink in a bar. Everyone sat and watched one of the local cats lick its bollocks.
It's the greatest holiday in the world. That's the entertainment in that town.
Went back to the hotel and had a sleep before tea. I love the fact you're moaning about old people, but you're just as bad.
You've done nothing so far.
He's done nothing, he's got a big hip. Woke up to news about ducks being badly treated. There was a really ugly one with bent legs.
I'm gonna die. Why does he write this down? Oh, God. Oh.
There is a fat bloke from Bolton who is in the pool as I write this. He's got a big tattoo on his back, but I can't work out what it is. ... He just got out of the pool and burped. He just felt like you had to keep us abreast of that.
Everything's in the diary. I just seen it get to the point where you're going, breathed in,
Yeah.
breathed out again.
There was a big fat fella in the sea who kept his T-shirt on. If you're big and fat, is there more chance of you getting burnt because there's more of you on show? I asked Suzanne and she said she didn't know in that sort of not listening kind of way. I wanted to hang about to see if the fat bloke was going to get in the kayak. But Suzanne said we had to head back. Just let him waiting to see if he's going to capsize. We go home today, so we got up early to get the last bit of cloud.
No, it's just that it wasn't. It's not that sunny all the time. I mean, I was sat in weather that if it was like that here, there's no way I'd be sat in the garden.
Yeah.
But because you're on holiday, it's like, well, we got to sit in it. Put your coat on.
So are you going to continue to write this diary? Every single day?
It's amazing. Keep this diary up. It's amazing.
No, I will keep it up, because what I find as well is, I think earlier on before I went away, I think I did learn something, and because I wrote it down, I remembered it a bit better. So
What was that?
I just was thinking then, I forgot it now, but but I remembered looking back at it and not having to read it all, because I remembered the end of it before I read it, if you know what I mean.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I've been waiting for this for a week. It's a regular feature now. When we read from Karl's diary, Karl decided to keep a diary. He's gone through with it. I can see it there. It's massive. It's a huge desk diary that he has to carry around with him, and the pages are getting full up. You're really keeping to this, right? This is extracts from Karl's diary.
Did podcast and went for an Italian with Ricky and Steve. Italian place is good. We've been there a few times. I always have the same thing, spaghetti. Can't remember what everyone else had. Last time we went there, Steve had little octopuses with pasta. You could see that they were octopuses. They hadn't been cut up or anything. My rule is that I only eat stuff that looks nice when it's alive. A cow, a chicken, some fish. An octopus is an odd-looking thing alive. Even worse when it's dead and limp. It looks like it just shouldn't have been sat in the spaghetti.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Ricky drew another picture of my head. We've given a few of them away as prizes, but he draws so many of them that they won't be worth as much anymore. Everyone will eventually have one. Like those pictures of a boy crying that caused houses to burn down in the 1980s.
What does that mean?
What are you talking about?
It's just some kid. My auntie Nora had one, and it was just like a kid with like a blue jumper on, and it's like a painting, not a photo.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And he's just crying.
Like a chocolate box, really awful, sort of sugary.
And what happened is they found out that a load of houses were being set on fire or burst into flames, whatever. And the weird thing was,
Oh, it's bollocks.
every house that burnt down had that photo.
Yeah, because every house had that picture in the fucking 70s and 80s. Idiot. It's like, we're linking it to sinks. Every house that's ever burnt down had a sink. You're talking shit again. Carry on.
Wednesday. Saw a homeless bloke. I'm surprised that no companies have thought about sponsoring the homeless. Something like a clothing company. Give them some clothes that have an advert on the back. Everyone's a winner.
Good idea.
Not bad, is it?
Got on the tube to Camden. Read in a free newspaper that hedgehogs could be gone by 2025. I think I've seen more dead hedgehogs than alive ones anyway, so I don't think I'll miss them. Went round to Ricky's house and had a game of pool. It should have been nice and relaxing, but Jane gave me some cake, and Ricky said I can't play pool if my hands are all sticky from cake.
It was the sugar. And it wasn't that either. After he'd finished it, they weren't just sticky. He was licking his fingers, sucking his fingers off, and then was going to pick up ball cues and touch things. And I was thinking, go and wash your hands after licking your hands. You're not a cat.
This turned into an argument when I said I didn't want to wash my hands.
Why didn't he?
He goes for a piss all the time without washing his hands and then squeezes my head. I know I'd prefer to have lemon cake crumbs on my head than knob juice. Was going to do a crossword, but I'm tired and have learnt enough today.
What have you learned?
Well, the stuff about hedgehogs and that.
Oh, God.
Was on my way to my mates and I got on a train. Got close to a station but realised I needed a wee. Was about to go in a cubicle when a blind man with a dog who was bumbling his way through the walkway came around. I said, "Are you after the toilet?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "It's on your right." I shouldn't have let him go first as he took ages and it would be my stop soon. The dog waited outside the cubicle. I was going to stroke it, but then I remembered someone telling me that you shouldn't. Don't know
Why
that
not?
is.
Because something to do with the owner should be the only one who sort of deals with that dog. and you shouldn't.
Well, you shouldn't stroke it because you'll cover it in fucking lemon cake.
No, but just because, you know, if you stroke it and that, it might like me and want to go off with me, and he'll come out and be lost and stuff.
Yeah. Well, now to one of our most popular features. I mean, this could even rival monkey news one day. It is monkey news. It's you know, it's news from the point of view of a monkey, a shaved monkey. It's Karl Pilkington's diary. Oh, he's written it down, yeah.
Was that the jingle, or were you just just annoyed about something? Okay. Went and did the podcast. We had a meeting after. I don't like meetings as I can't keep focused on what people are talking about. I think Ricky has the same problem as after 25 minutes he was trying to wrestle me. I tried to do what spiders do and stayed still as if I was dead. But Ricky just stayed on top of me, not moving. A bit like when you see one of them big snakes swallowing a sheep. Ricky got bored and released me. I went home thinking, why had I left my old job for this? A homeless man asked me for some money, but I didn't feel like I should treat him as I felt that he'd probably had a better day than me.
Oh, God.
Suzanne called me to say she'd gone for a haircut and that she'd meet me in the supermarket. I went to the supermarket, but she wasn't there. I called her and she said she was near the fruit aisle. I went to the fruit aisle and she wasn't there. Turns out she was in a different supermarket on the other side of town. And that if I'd listened to her properly, I'd have known that. I didn't want to say that
Well, you just went to the first supermarket you thought of, as opposed to listening to what supermarket. I'm in the supermarket. All right, bye.
I didn't want to say that I hadn't heard her properly because my ears were ringing a bit from the wrestling from earlier. 25 minutes later, I met up with Suzanne. Her haircut wasn't that bad. Normally, her haircuts are followed by an argument between us as she pays over the odds for some daft haircut that's the latest style.
Brilliant.
I wish she'd take a picture out of a magazine or ask for a style rather than letting the hairdresser do what she wants. I said I only tell her to do this as she's got a square head and a close-cut hairdo makes it look squarer. She said, what do you think of this cut? I said it looked all right, as I couldn't be bothered arguing about it. It's weird writing a diary. I don't know who thought of doing one of these first. The last time I did one was at school. They used to get you to do it so they could keep an eye on whatever you were up to. My diary used to say the same thing every night. Got home, went to the shop to get potatoes, bread, milk. Went home, watched telly, went to bed. I think I might have gone to Twiggy's Dance Club just so I had something different to write. You've not told us about Twiggy's Dance Club.
It's just, you know, I sort of, when I was a kid, I sort of gave everything a bit of a go. I did boxing and that, didn't I? Gave that a go.
For about 45 minutes.
And yeah, a mate sort of said, oh, you know, you're into your dancing, your robotics and that. You're doing your body popping, right? Body popping and that. He said, you ought to come to Twiggy's. And I went there, but I didn't go in. It was shut. They were just having like loads of toilet rolls delivered. I think like they were like using it as a storage place for toilet rolls and that. So I said, oh, I've come to have a dance. And like, oh, not tonight. Come back tomorrow. I never went back.
Brilliant. Next. What a waste of an anecdote. Right. Brilliant.
Just to recap, you're convinced then that the teachers are asking you to keep diaries so they can keep tabs on you. And then to continue the diary, as there were more problems happening on the estate, they started to add Saturday and Sundays to the school diary to keep an eye on what we were doing at the weekend. I struggled to fill it on a Sunday as the shop I got potatoes and bread from was shut on a Sunday. I had to go over to Shepherd's Bush to meet someone. I got the tube. There was a badly burnt man on the tube. It's amazing how the body can continue through quite a lot of bad stuff. It got me thinking about how much stuff you could remove in your body, one by one, without dying. If it was a competition, the cockroach would win as it can live for a week without a head.
I just mean like, say if, you know, they're running out of ideas for TV programmes and that, right? They get someone who isn't well. They go, look, do you mind if we make a programme on you? And what they do, they sit them in the bed and they go, right, what we're going to do now is take out the heart but replace it with a pacemaker. Right,
No. Sorry. People with pacemakers don't have their heart taken out and a pacemaker popped in.
All right, then. Some sort of machine. What I'm getting to is...
Have you been playing Operation?
What I mean is the big finale would just be a head chatting with loads of wires going into it, and it's like, look what we can do with science.
That's what the programme's called. It's the same every week. The volunteer is just a head with loads of wires coming out of
Look
it.
what we can do with science.
And he's going,
Goodbye.
"Oh, I feel ill."
Got some post delivered to me today. It was... Oh, this is
This
great.
makes it in the diary.
Got some post delivered to me today. It was addressed to Mr. Dilkington.
I don't know why that's so funny. Oh, God.
I got some post delivered to me today. It was addressed to Mr. Dilkington. I opened it and the first sentence read, "Dear Mr. K. Dilkington, you're one of our most valuable customers." I put it in the bin. Thought I would learn some new words, as Steve always says I don't use enough different words. I read in the Fortean Times that the word "wew" means an ugly female ghost with drooping breasts.
What do you mean?
Is that how am I pronouncing
Who's
that right?
using that word?
Woo?
Who is
Woo.
using that word?
It was just W-E-W-E.
Let's call it a woo. An ugly female ghost with drooping breasts. I think I'm right when I say there are too many words in the world. I don't think I will ever get round to using the word woo. Watched a health programme. Wasn't watching it properly, but heard some doctors say that we only get so many heartbeats in a lifetime, so don't do too much exercise. I told Suzanne, and she said I probably hadn't heard it right. We got talking about death. Suzanne said she didn't like thinking about it. I said she might end up being a woo. I was chuffed as I'd managed to use my new word. I went to the supermarket to get tonight's tea. On the way, I stopped and looked in the fishmongers at all the different fish they had in the window. It's like a child in one of those kids' TV shows.
I know.
Mr. Pilkington went to the fishmonger. He stopped and looked at all the fish in the window.
Hello, Mr. Dilkington, they said.
There was a newspaper clipping stuck on the glass about a two-headed fish that they've made in Taiwan. I don't see the point in doing this, as a fish having two heads ain't going to solve the world's hunger problems, as the head is the bit you throw away. Invent a fish with two bodies, and I'd say well done.
Good point, isn't it?
Suzanne watched one of her favourite TV programmes. I've told her the telly only goes on if there's something she wants to watch. If there's nothing on, she has to talk to me about stuff I've learnt. Like Descartes. Watched a programme on him the other day. He is the one who said something like, "I know I'm about because I dream." Doesn't work for everything, because ants don't sleep. I don't know if I'd like that or not. You don't know if you would like it if you didn't ever
Not
sleep.
sleeping. It's just one long day. I don't know. Don't know how you'd put up with that. Do you think it'd be a good idea?
No.
Why not?
Because, as you said, it would get a bit boring. You know, your sleep is your rest, your time off. It helps you detoxify. It helps you sort of think things through on a subconscious level.
But don't you ever get it where, I mean, sometimes it's brilliant to have a sleep when you're tired, but don't you sometimes feel
that's
like...
the best time to have a sleep when you're tired.
No,
yeah.
but sometimes when you go to bed and you're not that tired and you're kind of thinking, oh, I'm going to waste some hours of my life now and I'm not really in the mood for this.
Well, that's
sleeping.
just wishing you had longer on this earth doing creative things. I mean, if you didn't have to sleep, you could spend more time talking to a tortoise and going to the toffee shop. Well, it's that time again. It's the feature that the world is saying could rival Monkey News one day. Ready?
Oh, what's he written today?
Well, Carl's diary. You didn't
Yeah.
explain what it was. Sunday, got up. Sunny day, so went for a walk in the park. There was a bloke walking down the street who was whistling some kind of annoying tune. He seemed quite happy with himself. Do people only whistle when they're happy? I don't whistle very much.
It's a good point. Whistling is so inane to me. But yeah, it's sort of like going, I'm content. It really is that thing that if they go, you go, well, Mr. Mellors, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Not only has your wife died, but you've lost the house. Thanks, doctor.
Wouldn't happen, would it?
No,
Doesn't
you
seem
don't
right, does
whistle
it?
when
Yeah.
you're sad. The other place you hear it, of course, is changing rooms. And that's men going, I'm whistling, so I'm not looking at your cock. How could I be? I'm concentrating on whistling.
The lake was frozen over where I was walking. The ducks looked worried. They were sat on the edge of the lake waiting for it to melt. Were they, Carl?
Yeah, we just sat there looking, sort of going, oh, what's going on? I don't know. How long is a duck's memory? Because I wondered whether they're going, this doesn't seem right, but I don't know why.
I asked Suzanne why ducks don't use their wings much. They seem to walk and swim more and don't bother using their wings. Suzanne said she had to call her mum and dad, so I never got an answer.
The old excuse. Yeah. Suzanne. Oh, I can't talk now, Carl.
Gotta phone my mum. There was a marathon-type run going on in the park. It reminded me of the time when we were moving flat. It was the day of the London Marathon. Me and Suzanne were walking down the middle of the road, taking some stuff to our new flat. I was carrying a lamp and a kitchen bin. People were clapping me, thinking I was doing some kind of fun run.
Why were you walking on the same route?
Because it was when we lived on the Docklands.
Oh, brilliant.
There was no other route. The flat was just about 100 yards down the road.
They're going, look at the bloke with the bald wig. He's carrying a lamp and a bin.
Took a bag of old clothes to Oxfam. It was just old T-shirts and a couple of jumpers with holes in it. I don't think anyone will buy them, but the Oxfam is closer to the flat than the wheelie bin is. On the tube on the way back home, saw an advert for a book about a woman who works in a funeral home. She went into work one day, she goes to work on a body, she takes the sheet off of one of the bodies, and it looks exactly like her. This is called a doppelganger.
What's a doppelganger to you?
It's the thing I read about him ages ago where someone was walking down the street.
Yeah, and he sees someone who looked a bit like him.
And no, this was weirder than that.
Go on.
He remembers, like, going down that street as a kid on his bike, whistling.
Yeah.
And then he's walking down the street, going to get some milk or whatever from the shop. Little bike comes whizzing past. He hears the whistling. He goes, that's weird. Looks at it. It was him when he was a kid. So it's like a time.
Shit. What do you mean it was him as a kid?
This is like a different form of doppelganger. It's just
Well, it's impossible. It's rubbish.
some sort of time thing, isn't it?
No,
Just
it's
time,
that's
sort of-
impossible. So don't
It's
worry
just some
about
kind
it.
of time thing, Rick. No.
Yeah,
just
it's
some
something
kind
you
of time
read
thing.
again on the internet, or it was a short story, or something someone told you.
On my walk back from the tube, I saw a jogger who was pushing a pram at the same time. The kid looked terrified. Got my science book out. It said that the static you get on the telly when a channel isn't tuned in properly is radiation that is still knocking about from when the Big Bang happened. I thought about the Big Bang and wondered if it was really a Big Bang or did it just sound louder as there was no other noise to drown it out.
Good point, though, isn't it?
Carl's diary, Rick, never ceases to amaze.
And I believe that he's written it down.
Well, that's the jingle that signals it's time for more extracts from Carl's diary, and we'll lunge straight into it. Wandered down Carnaby Street. There was a happy homeless fella. I gave him £1.50. I thought of a tongue twister after giving him the money. It goes, if you can't treat a cheerful tramp, what sort of tramp can you treat?
It's good, that.
All
Say
right.
it fast.
If you can't treat a cheerful tramp, what sort of tramp can you treat?
Good, isn't it?
Good, that, yeah. You've got too much time on your hands, Carl.
Learned some famous quotes to see if they are as good as my sayings. Number 1, treat every day as if it's your last. Very famous saying. Now, is that something you do, Carl?
But you know, my problem with that one is that if it was your last, you wouldn't want to be doing much. That's the only problem I've got with that. I wouldn't want to, go to a fairground or whatever because you're going, oh, it's my last day, what am I going to do? And I think you'd spend so much time worrying about what you're going to do that you'd end up staying in.
I think you're right. You've taken some of the poetry out of it. I think it means live life to the fullest, right?
I like the fact that you were musing on the idea that if it was your last day, you'd go to the fair. It's getting such a 19th century way of spending your final day.
I know, yeah. Well, the thing is, the other thing is that the only thing that people get depressed about in terms of sort of like, life and death is not the knowledge that they're gonna die, but more the knowledge that they know they're going to die when they're dying. If someone told you no one ever knows when they're going to die, no one ever gets an illness, no one ever gets hit by a truck, everyone passes away peacefully in their sleep, dreaming they're riding a big marshmallow, right? Then you wouldn't care about anything. It wouldn't matter when. It wouldn't matter if you died tomorrow or in 30 years' time. You'd just live life to the full. You'd have it every day would be great. You'd go out, you'd come back, you'd fall asleep. That would be amazing. There'd be no stress. There'd be no angsty, we're all going to die stress, because it wouldn't matter, because it would just be your life. Wouldn't it be amazing if someone guaranteed you, Carl, you're going to die in your sleep? I'm not going to tell you when.
Yeah, but some people do, don't they?
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
but we
I
never
want
know
that.
we're going to, because we stress. What if we get a dreadful illness? What if we, you know...
But we're almost not letting people die naturally anymore, are we? Because we're always bodging stuff up.
What do you mean?
Well, someone who might naturally die in the sleep aren't allowed to naturally die in the sleep because they wake them up with those electric things and get them going again and pop in a new lung or whatever whilst they're at it. That's what I'm saying. They don't just... You never hear it anymore, do you? Frank peacefully died in his sleep. No, he died on the operating table whilst we were putting in a new lung. They don't die naturally anymore.
Frank died peacefully with 40,000 volts going through them and a couple of people going, clear, clear.
Rushing about today. Got to get a lot done as I'm flying to Malaga tomorrow to see my mum and dad. Don't like flying. I'd be happy if they give you a parachute instead of a life jacket. They say Da Vinci invented the parachute as well as the helicopter. He never got round to making them, though, because he only drew them on some paper. Got up at 5 a.m. as I had to get to Heathrow to get on the plane to see mum and dad in Malaga. Went out for a drink with a cousin who lives in Spain. Ain't seen her for 27 years. Oh, that must have been tricky, making conversation.
I didn't really bother. Because where do you start? I might as well go up to anyone in the street and start having a chat.
Yeah, you have to go further back than... did you want Chantal to win Big Brother?
Yeah. Me dad and me talked about history. I said we shouldn't go on about things that happened ages ago because I bet something similar has happened more recently.
Brilliant.
Read about an island in the Indian Ocean where there are tribesmen still living like they're cavemen. A helicopter tried to land and the tribesmen chucked spears at them. This is what I meant about not having to talk about things that happened ages ago. We have got new cavemen now, so why do we talk about the old ones? People could have lived before, but computers and all that blew up and books got burnt, so all they had left was what these tribesmen have got left.
Ramblings
And that's
of
the
a
ramblings
madman.
of a maniac.
That
I mean,
is
that's just a few hours before you go crazy with a gun in there.
No, but what I mean there is, right, say if all this has happened before, something happens,
Again, a lot of information from the Planet of the Apes.
world ends, right, we come back again somehow.
Yeah. It's the detail you leave out that makes you intriguing. Just like the watch that you can wear that tells you when you're going to die. How does it work? Pop it on your wrist. That's all the detail you need. So the world happened,
No.
we came back, yeah.
Have you seen the pictures? Forget it then if you don't get it.
It's interesting that you had all those profound thoughts about this period in the past when they all lived, but you still found it appropriate to include at the end of that. It says the tribesmen wave their knobs about when they've had enough of having visitors.
That's what it said in the paper. That's what happens. They're quite happy.
What paper is this that you're reading?
It was in like a paper a couple of days ago. It said they don't mind having visitors if they're bringing them coconuts and stuff that they can eat. Once they've got everything they need, they start waving the tackle about, and that means like, right, leave now, which you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, at a dinner party.
My grandfather used to do that. Rick, I know this is something you always get excited about. It's Carl's diary. Can we have a jingle?
I don't believe it. He's got a mini gun.
Thank you very much. Woke up to the news about an elephant in India that had sore feet, so the locals have made it a big pair of slippers. Tried to look online for a picture, but I couldn't find anything.
Sure they've made it 2 pairs of slippers.
Well, I'm only going by the facts in the diary, Rick, and I would have thought that they were absolutely bona fide and fact-checked and completely
Yeah.
accurate. I'd be very
Yeah.
surprised if there's any mistakes in here. I'm sure they've done this for an elephant before. I thought elephants have bad memories.
No,
Well, no, but fair enough. I thought elephants have bad memories. If they have, I'm guessing it's going to keep forgetting where it's left them.
I mean, just to get if it's a myth, the myth completely wrong.
Yeah.
Elephants never forget. That's the saying. Not they always forget, so you can buy them slippers every year.
Carl says I haven't had a pair of slippers for years. He thinks they're dying out.
No, I love slippers.
I love a pair of slippers,
I love
mate.
a pair of slippers, mate.
Just wear socks.
Slidey on a
no.
slidey on a piece of lino.
I know. And what about if you maybe opening a brand new box of thumbtacks? You drop them all over the floor. You're trying to pick them up.
Rick, I've got to pop across the road to get some milk, but it's right opposite. I'm sure you're not going to go in my socks, though, am I? But I don't want to put on the shoes. It's mad.
No. Pop some slippers on.
But perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
You shouldn't go out in your slippers.
Why not?
Just across the street, mate, to get some milk.
Because they're inside shoes. You don't go rowing about on tarmac in slippers. That's basic.
But you don't have any slippers, so
No,
you're
but-
just tiptoeing across the street, you know.
I
with
put
your-
my shoes on.
But you can pop out and get the paper and the bottle of milk, can't you, in the slippers without any harm done?
No.
Apparently not. That'll make it into the diary. Tried to have a shower, but there was no water.
I love it when he calls me and things go wrong with the flat.
But I like the fact that he tried to have a shower, but there's no water. How long did it take you before you realised he was there for 20 minutes?
After 20 minutes, he said, Suzanne, should I be dry?
Yeah, I'm freezing cold.
Yeah, no, you should be sort of wet and warm. Right, there's no water then. Brilliant.
I called the service charge people, but no one was about. Looked outside, but couldn't see any work going on. Great, innit? In India, they can sort out elephants with shoes. In London, we have no water. Hung about for a bit, but still no sign of any water. Brushed my teeth just using the paste and used the little bit that was in the kettle to have a wash. I was pretty chuffed that I thought of using that. Suzanne was a bit annoyed because she wanted a cup of tea. She said, go across the road and buy a big bottle of water.
Not in your socks. Pop some slippers on.
Go across the road and buy a big bottle of water, she said. I never thought of that. You had a wash using the water
That's
in the bottom of the kettle.
Yeah, well, that's clean, isn't it?
But how much? There's only a little drop in there.
No, it's a big kettle.
So what, did you just wash your face?
Yeah.
So you didn't wash your body or anything?
Your genitals
Well,
were
you couldn't, could
filthy.
you? You've got to look at what you can do with the water available. People in Africa and that short of water aren't wasting it, saying, oh, the feet are a bit dirty. They drink it. What do you mean?
Had a look online to see what's been going on. Scientists say that Everest, brackets, the mountain, just in case you've confused that with any other Everests.
Maybe the double glazing people.
Yeah. You say that scientists say that Everest has grown a bit. The way they were talking about it, you'd have thought it's grown loads. It's only inches.
No, isn't that... They found out that it's actually a couple of inches taller than they first thought because their methods of measuring are more accurate than they were 20 years ago. So it's bigger than they thought it was. It hasn't grown.
No, I just think what's happened is at the bottom, because of like people are always climbing up it, aren't they? Right?
Yeah.
So they're sort of wearing away the
Don't
soil at the
talk
bottom.
rubbish.
So
it's
their weight
also,
has pushed it down.
it's
It's
also
just
measured against sea level. It's not measured about when you get... Otherwise, they'd just dig a big hole, wouldn't they, and go, right, it's down to here. If the
No, but
peak
does it-
is measured
at the end
against
of the day,
sea
though,
level.
Does it matter at the end of the day?
No, but it's just nice to know, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is we don't need to know that. It's not going to put anyone off. Like Brian Blessed, who's always climbing up there for fun. He's not going to go, oh, I could handle it last year, but 2 more inches. Forget that. Going to be shattered. So don't worry about it. It doesn't matter how big it is. Something else, though, that's happened since, right? They were climbing up there, and someone got near the top, and they were sort of climbing up like that, holding the cliff edge and that.
And they'd forgotten the flag. Had to go back.
No, their hand hit the bit of rock, and it went like, ding. I'm like, what's that? Ding, ding. Put another hand up, ding, ding. Piano under there. They don't know how it's got there.
Right, you're talking shit again.
Someone's been tipping.
Well, oh, right.
Up Everest.
Okay. The council won't even take away your washing machine unless you pay them. They're not going to sneak up Everest.
No, this is the problem, innit? Because the council won't take anything. People are going, what can we do with this?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Just sneak up Everest. It'll take you 9 days, and you may die. But just pop it up on Everest.
Well, I know for a fact that you've confused a few things there, because I think the piano being found was actually somewhere in Scotland, some kind of moor in Scotland, and they found a piano up there, and everyone said, I don't understand, how's the piano doing up here? And it turned out that some guy, one of these people who like tries to break world records, had
Hoax, is it?
dragged a piano up there as some kind of feat of endurance,
Yeah.
but thought, I'll be damned if I'm going to take it back again, and just left it up there. It wasn't, bloody tipping or aliens or anything.